President Roten, anytime you are ready.
Good morning. Whoops, I think I'm not close enough to this. There we go. I'll call the meeting to order for Western Water regular board meeting on June 18th, 2025 at 9:32. 9:31, okay. Ms. Ford, may we have roll call, please?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Director Gardner.
I am here.
Director Torres.
Here.
Director Denstedt.
Good morning, I'm here.
Director Risby.
Good morning, I am here.
Good morning, President Roten.
And I am also here.
Thank you. Good morning, President Roten. You do have a quorum today.
Okay, thank you so much. And I would like to invite Jacob Loki, Water Resources Specialist 2, Water Resources Department, to come forward and give us our Pledge of Allegiance today. And if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, good morning, President Roten, members of the board, staff members. My name is Jake. I've been at Western for officially 1 year on Tuesday. Yeah, feels good. It's gone by fast. Every day's been exciting here, and I primarily assist with grant administration, various groundwater and regulatory tasks for DWR, and also assisting with Water Master.
Awesome. And
So-
before you start, I apologize. I was concentrating so much on your last name that I believe I said Jason, and I meant to say Jacob. So my apologies.
Totally fine. If you could all face the flag, hand over your heart, and ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Have a great meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll move to public comments. Ms. Ford, do we have any public comments today?
At this time, I have no general comments. I've received nothing in writing and no request to speak.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go on to the consent calendar. Does anyone have any questions or want to pull an item, or
consent.
may we have a motion? Thank you.
Second.
I
We have
heard
a-
Director Gardner.
Motion and a second. We're ready for the vote whenever you're ready.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Torres.
Sorry, yes.
Director Denstedt.
Aye.
Director Risby.
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Item 6, Mr. General Manager, do we have any items to be added to the agenda today?
Nothing to add today.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item 7, action agenda. A, adopt resolution 3360, supporting Rancho California Water District Board Member Carol Lee Brady as a candidate for the office of Vice President at the Association of California Water Agencies. Mr. Miller.
All right. We are very excited that Carol Lee Brady has decided to throw her name in the hat for the role of Vice President at Aqua. And it requires a resolution of support from this board if we want to do that. So that's what's before you today.
I do have a public comment
Yes.
request from Mr. Jason Martin.
That's what I
Welcome.
wanted to hear. Jason Martin is the general manager at Rancho. How long now, Jason?
9 months?
9 months, so hopefully he
Oh
makes a
my
year
gosh.
like Jake.
We're getting close.
Okay.
Fingers crossed.
All right.
It's been a pleasure to work with since he's taken over and is doing a great job. And so, Jason, thanks for
Excellent.
coming.
Thank you. Good morning, President Roten and members of the board. Very excited to be here today to extend our appreciation on behalf of Director Carol Lee Gonzalez Brady for this resolution on your agenda. She has been a tremendous asset to Aqua over the last several years, currently serving right now for Region 9 as Vice Chair, really advocating for our region and dealing with tough issues. I think in the role as Vice President of Aqua, she'll continue that advocacy. She'll continue to fight not only for our region, but for those issues statewide that all of our agencies are dealing with. So on behalf of Director Gonzalez Brady, I am very thankful for this resolution and appreciate your support in her nomination and candidacy.
All right, thank you so much.
you.
Do we have any questions or comments?
I would like to make a motion to nominate her.
Okay, we
Nominate
have a
and-
motion.
And I'll second just with, I have supported Carolee and told her she needed to do this. And sitting on Region 9's board with her for several years now and have known her personally for several years, she is a fabulous candidate that will do her very best in serving all of our needs. And she will fight for us
Yeah.
to get things done. And she's an agent of change, for sure. And I certainly appreciate that.
All right. Well, I'd like to make a comment before we vote, too. Thank you, Jason, for being here this morning. And I know that Carolee, it's one of those things like, when are we going to learn how to clone ourselves? Because she is at the Eastern Board meeting this morning, which is happening at the same time as ours. So I appreciate you being here on her behalf. As I've gotten to know Carolee over the last few years, I'm just continually impressed by her. And not in any kind of a pompous way or anything like that, but her demeanor, her knowledge, her heart of service. She's very smart and has had a lot of different experiences in her background. And I know she did just wonderful outreach even for this position. And that's important because it shows us her passion and that she cares and that she will do a thorough job. So I'm very excited to be able to vote on this today.
Madam President, could I make a quick comment?
Yes.
I would also like to support Carolee. I've known her maybe longer than you have. She is another Reformed Edison employee.
Oh,
And
I didn't
we
realize
go
that.
way back.
Right, yeah. That's right.
Everything everybody said about Carolee is true. She is just an outstanding person. I think will do an excellent job and help keep us in Region 9 in the forefront. So,
I would like to say,
Oh, Fazia. go
did
ahead.
to everyone who said everything about Carolee, and that is why I'm making the motion to approve this adopt this resolution.
Nice.
Second.
Okay. All right, I think we're ready for the vote. I don't see any other
Okay.
hands.
Director Gardner,
aye.
Director Torres,
Yes.
Director Dinstead,
Aye.
Director Rizvi,
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jason.
We'll move to item B, adopt resolution 3361, supporting the nomination of Director Brenda
Wait a minute.
Denstead.
Jason, you're walking out before you
He
do
already-
mine? Wait a minute.
He
Wait a
already
minute.
said he had to go.
Wait a minute. Aren't you going to tell Carolee what happens? Gosh.
Did he put a public comment card in for
I
this?
know. Did he put a public comment
He did
card
not, so he is not allowed to speak at this moment.
I'm worried about your 1 year.
Oh, all right. I believe I was to the point of supporting the nomination of Director Brenda Denstead to the Association of California Water Agencies Region 9 Board of Directors. Mr. Miller.
Director Denstead has been on the Region 9 board for some time now. I don't know exactly how long. I don't want to say it's been super long because that sounds like she's been around a long time, but the Region
she
9
has.
board is, the Region 9
2019.
board is very active in this region and does a really good job of putting on events and trying to elevate issues from our region to the Aqua Board. And they've been very effective at doing that. So this is an important position that I take very seriously, and I think the board should take very seriously also. And Director Denstead has been doing a great job, and so we would like to pass a resolution to keep her there.
Okay. Any comments
I
or?
will make a motion to adopt this resolution.
Okay.
Got a second?
We have a motion and a second. Whenever you're ready. Oh, did we have public comment on this?
We do not.
Okay.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Yes.
Director Dinstead,
Aye.
Director Rizvi,
Aye.
President Roten.
Absolutely, yes.
The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And can
Okay.
I say thank you to my colleagues and thank you to Craig? And I really do appreciate your support, and I look forward to Region 9 elevating itself, especially since Carol Lee is trying to launch herself into the vice president spot. And so I think that'll really bring a lot of attention to our area and to this regional board. So I'm really looking forward to it. So I appreciate the support. Thank you very much.
Good.
Now you can, okay? Thanks, Jason.
All right. We'll move on to item C, approve an updated job classification and salary grades table in accordance with Resolution 2902.
All right, we have to take board action every year to do this. And so there's some minor modifications this year that Candy Judd is going to highlight for the board. So Candy?
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Good morning, President Roten, board members, staff, and public. The item before you requests approval, God bless you, for an update to Western Water's job classification and salary grades table in accordance with Resolution 2902. Each year, the board is required to approve updates to this table to meet contractual and regulatory requirements. These changes are designed to meet the regulatory standards for pay rate validation by the California Employees Retirement System and to reflect accurate payroll processing dates, which are critical for compliance with Western Water's agreements between the management group's Confirmation of Understanding and the Employee Association's Memorandum of Understanding. The minor modifications shown on the attached table include application of the 2.9% cost of living adjustment, title changes to 4 job classifications to better align with the scope of work for the respective position, 1 bargaining unit change for a single position, and the elimination of 1 position. To comply with California Code of Regulations 570.5, Section 8, the effective date of the salary schedule must align with the last full pay period in June, effective June 15th, 2025. The proposed changes have been reviewed by the management group and the Employee Association, along with legal counsel to ensure contractual and regulatory compliance. The action aligns with Western Water's strategic priority of an elite workforce, and there are no budget impacts to meet the updates as they are contained in the fiscal year 25-26 budget. Thank you for your consideration to approve the changes to the job classification and salary grades table, and I will now turn it back over to the general manager for any questions.
All right, thank you, Candy. Any questions, comments?
I have one question. I think it might just be a typo, but I wanted to double check on the second page of the staff report. Halfway through the head count, I believe it was increased from 172 to 177. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, it says increase 2 and then increase 2. So I was pretty sure that that's
We only
what it
need 1
was.
increase too.
Yeah. I knew where we were, so that all sounded good. Let me just make sure. I think that was my only question. I'm sorry. Gracie?
Yes,
did you-
I actually just wanted to say thank you for all the work you do. I'm looking at these salaries as I do every year, and I just want to say, Western is a great place to work. It's a wonderful place to work. People are taken care of. It looks like they'll be able to retire well and really build a career here. And that says a lot for agency. I mean, for a work force now that doesn't stay places very long. This is how you retain people, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
I agree, thank you.
Okay, I think we're ready for the vote.
Director Torres, please don't encourage retiring from
No, you need to
Just
stay here a long
stay
time
in.
with these salaries. You got to stick around.
Just want to make sure we got that right.
Move.
I heard a motion by Director Gardner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are we ready for the vote?
Oh,
Yes.
did we have public comment?
We do not.
Thank you. That was the other thing.
Director Gardner. Director Torres.
Yes.
Director Dinstedt.
Aye.
Director Rizvi. President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we will move on to item D, approve an amendment to increase the InfoSend Incorporated purchase order for utility bill processing and printing services. Mr. Miller.
Thank you. Darian Cotton is here today. This is, I was asking Tammy about this beforehand. It's kind of a small amount. We normally put this on consent, but we have a policy that if it goes in a very short term from a committee, or we have to skip a committee, that we put it on the action item so the board is fully informed and hears about it. So Darian, thank you for being here this morning.
Absolutely. Good morning, Board. I'm here today requesting approval to increase the fiscal year 24-25 InfoSend contract amount by $42,000 to perform monthly bill, notice, communication processing, and printing services for our nearly 26,000 retail water customers. The additional $42,000 is needed to meet the cost increase related to a 15% rise in printed notices since December and a 3% service rate adjustment from InfoSend. Many printing increases are largely driven by our compliance with SB 998, which is the Water Shutoff Protection Act, which requires additional printed delinquency notices to ensure customers are informed of past due balances, options to restore service, and their rights as a Western Water customer. Maintaining this service is critical to ensuring timely and accurate communication with our customers and ensures we continue to meet customer needs under the Customer Bill of Rights. If approved, the board-adopted operational budget for FY 24-25 will increase by $42,000. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Okay, any questions? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any public comments?
We have none.
Okay. We're ready for the vote whenever you are.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Torres.
Yes.
Director Dinstead.
Aye.
Director Rizvi.
Aye.
President Roden.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we'll move on to item E, approve fiscal year 2025-26 annual purchase orders and contracts exceeding $100,000.
All right, thank you. We do this every year. We highlight the large contracts all in one action and approve those for the year. And as usual, Veronica Zhang is here to describe them to us. Veronica?
Thank you, Craig. Good morning, everyone. So this board action item requests approval of the recommended annual purchase orders and contracts that's exceeding $100,000 for the upcoming fiscal year. So these annual purchase order and contracts are unique as they expire at the end of every fiscal year. And staff creates them at the start of each fiscal year for routine business activities. To enhance operational efficiency, we are seeking board approval for a list of routine annual purchase orders and contracts totaling $6,054,870 for fiscal year 25-26, an increase of $583,770 from last year due to new POs, inflation, increased usage, and anticipated tariffs. So this list was presented to the Finance Committee on May 19th, 2025, and now we are seeking the approval from the board. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions? Yes, Director Jensen.
Thank you. So I noticed there's a number of new services, I guess. So I assume that we RFP'd on all of them unless they were a sole source? Yes? I'm sorry, and I missed the May one because I was in LA, so apologize.
There's the description of services, vendor services on the table in the attachment. And then there's, depending on the size of the purchase order, it goes through RFP process if it meets certain criteria of threshold. And then the new purchase orders not necessarily sometimes new because it might be only exceeding $100,000 this year compared to prior year. So it's not necessarily always the new services we are adding. It might be just over the threshold of $100,000 this time around.
It says in the, there's a column on the table
Yeah,
that tells you.
I'm looking at that. So my question too for Golden State, there was a big jump there. Do we have why a big jump?
RFP conducted in 2025, pricing expect to be valid through June 2027 on this one.
Yeah, it just shows a 150 grand
Yeah.
increase.
We've been utilizing Golden State in the past.
The previous contract for inspection services on recycling water systems and customer backflows only, services combined for FY 25-26 to include backflow testing and services.
Yeah, I think
So is
just,
that-
I think the scope of the work is
Okay.
increasing.
All right,
We've had a lot of success with that vendor,
okay.
and.
No, I know we've used them for a while, and I know they've been pretty competitive, so I just kind of wondered if that really was a scope change.
What, and your question about bidding, were you comfortable with the answer? We have a very detailed purchasing guideline. You know, over a certain amount, it has to get X number of bids. I mean, it's very prescriptive of how we have to go through this. So all of this was in compliance with our purchasing guidelines.
No, and I'm fine with that. It's, I usually, and I apologize, I usually ask these questions in committee, and it's unfortunate that I just haven't been able, I miss a lot of committees now because I've got some LA obligations up at Met, so, but, yeah, no, I'm fine with that. So I just wanted to ask those couple questions and looking at a couple of things. So, and I've noticed that we did in fact do RFPs and got some new vendors, and hopefully that was because their prices came down lower than everybody else's, by a lot, not knowing what all those bids were, but hopefully we were able to save some money, so,
In this economy?
well, hey, you know what? A girl can hope and dream. Okay? Look, I believe in unicorns too, okay? So, do you need a motion?
I do.
Were there any other questions? No? Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Did we have public comment on this?
We do not.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Torres.
Yes.
Director Dinstedt.
Aye.
Director Rizvi.
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you for your support.
thank you. Okay, item F, adopt resolution 3347, setting water rates and charges for wholesale agencies.
Thank you, President Roten. Spencer Melendez is here to give the board a presentation on this item.
Thank you
Hey,
very much.
Spencer.
Good morning to the board. Today's staff requests the board adopt Resolution 3347, setting water rates and charges for wholesale agencies. Next slide, please. Each year, Western Water conducts routine updates to its wholesale water rates. These updates are necessary to ensure that we recover the costs associated with delivering water to our wholesale customers. There are two primary drivers behind these changes. First, we pass through any rate adjustments implemented by Metropolitan Water District. And second, we account for Western Water's own costs, such as administrative expenses, maintenance activities that are essential to support wholesale water activities, and to operate and maintain the infrastructure needed to transmit wholesale water efficiently and reliably. These annual adjustments are part of our ongoing efforts to maintain fiscal responsibility while ensuring high-quality service to our customers. You will notice that some of these rates are effective on the fiscal year 2026, beginning July 1, 2025, and some are effective on the calendar year, beginning January 1, 2025. Next slide, please. For fiscal year 2026, Western Water is proposing a 3% increase to two specific per acre-foot charges: the administrative charge and the Mills Gravity Line maintenance charge. The administrative charge is applied to each acre-foot of water delivered to wholesale agencies. This charge helps offset a portion of Western Water's general expenses that are directly related to supporting wholesale water agency activities. The Mills Gravity Line maintenance charge applies to wholesale water deliveries through the gravity line and helps recover the day-to-day costs of maintaining this critical transmission pipeline. Maintenance activities include things like water quality testing, turnout maintenance, meter calibrations, minor repairs, and easement maintenance. These proposed increases reflect the costs of ongoing operations and the need to sustain infrastructure reliability. Next slide, please. For calendar year 2026, Western Water is proposing increases to our wholesale treated and untreated water rates. These adjustments reflect cost changes set by Metropolitan, which we incorporate directly into our wholesale rate structures. These rates are then effectively passed through to our wholesale customers. Metropolitan's treated water rate is increasing by 9.5%, bringing the new rate to $1,528 per acre foot, And the untreated rate will increase by 7.9%, bringing the new rate to $984 per acre foot. Next slide, please. The Metropolitan Readiness to Serve charge helps fund the capital costs of emergency and standby storage facilities managed by Metropolitan Water District. This includes key assets like Lake Skinner and Diamond Valley Lake. These facilities play a critical role in ensuring a reliable water supply during droughts, emergencies, or major infrastructure outages. For the upcoming fiscal year, Western Water's net readiness to serve charge for Metropolitan is increasing by 3.9%. This slide you see here and attachment 1 provide a detailed breakdown of how this charge is allocated across each wholesale agency, as well as the portion assigned to our own retail water customers. Next slide. Thank you. Metropolitan Water District's capacity charge is designed to recover capital costs associated with the peak demands on their distribution system. Western Water is assessed this charge based on our agency's overall peak usage. We then allocate that cost proportionally across our wholesale and retail customers based on their contribution to that peak demand. This slide, along with attachment 2, shows how the capacity charge is distributed among our customers for calendar year 2026. And next slide. And finally, we have the Mills Gravity Line Major Maintenance and Repair Reserve Charge for fiscal year 2026. This reserve is set aside to fund ongoing inspections, major maintenance, and repair work needed to keep the gravity line in reliable working condition. The goal is to stay ahead of the wear and tear and reduce the risk of costly, unexpected emergency repairs. The total funding for the year is based on a 10-year plan totaling $9.6 million, which is evenly distributed over that period. That means that $961,259 per year, unchanged from the current year. This slide and attachment 3 provides a breakdown of how this amount is allocated between Western Water's wholesale agencies and retail customers. And that concludes my summary. I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Mike?
Just to verify, I'm pretty confident I know the answer to this, but we have discussed these proposed changes with each of our wholesale customers,
That
and
was
no
my
one is
question.
objecting.
Correct. This was communicated to our wholesale agencies on April 30th, 2025.
Okay. And nobody has objected.
Nobody's objected to my knowledge.
No, and the increases are very in line with our historical precedent, so they were expecting it.
I will modify Spencer's answer a little bit. They object to Met's rates,
Well, yes.
not to our
They're not alone.
administrative fee. We talk, I meet with our regional managers every other month. No, quarterly. And this is regularly on the agenda for that discussion. So, they're very, very well briefed on how Met's rates are changing and all of the different elements that Spencer just highlighted. I asked Spencer to do this presentation so that the board could be aware of all the additive impacts of the Met rates on our retail agencies. I don't ever hear from our retail managers about our surcharge that we put on it for our administrative needs, but certainly almost every meeting is based on Met rates, or some element is based on Met rates in our activities at Metropolitan to try and, reduce those rates for our customers. But that's a good question. And, I don't want to go on too long, but it is, I don't want to make it sound like no one asks any questions on Met costs, because it is the #1 topic that we talk about with our member agencies.
You should maybe provide the retail agency management with Director Denstedt's home phone number. No, that is the answer I expected, but I did think it important to get it out there for everybody to be aware of.
I think that's why one of our valued general managers actually left the meeting before we even talked about this item, because it's not a controversial item with our member agencies, and they understand it, and they've been very supportive of it.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments on this? Do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Okay.
I'll move approval.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Torres, I heard first.
We're ready for the vote when you are.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Yes.
Director Dinstedt,
Aye.
Director Rizvi, President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we'll move on to item G, adopt resolution 3355, setting the combined desalter enterprise program water rate for fiscal 2024, 2025-26. We don't need to go backwards.
No,
Okay.
we did fine last year. We do need a new rate for this year, though. Rick is going to present this item.
Yes, good morning. So this item may be very familiar to some of you because we did it at the Finance Committee on Monday. And so obviously anticipating it needs to be adopted and effective for this next fiscal year, which is just a couple weeks away. And so what the request is the board adopts a resolution which sets the rate effective July 1st. The new rate that's being requested is $1,282 per acre foot, which is a 5.9% increase from the current rate. And that's necessary essentially for the same reasons we discussed on our retail rates to cover inflation and capital improvement costs for the program. It still provides a value, at least to those agencies that take the water and also take Metropolitan water, in that it's a discount of about 8% from the current Metropolitan treated rate, as we were just talking about the concerns on Metropolitan rates, and a 16% discount for the next calendar year as it applies to both in the fiscal year. It would apply to any participating agencies taking the desalter water from either the Arlington desalter or the Chino desalter, which would be participating agencies would be the cities of Norco, Corona, or Hrupa Community Services District, all of which have been requested to sign on for the last year of the pilot program, which would continue on to the next year and started back in January 2023. And then we would continue to charge the Met treated rate for any desalter water taken up the hill, which is principally us, for our retail operations, and that covers the additional pumping costs to get it up the hill. So the recommendation is that the board adopts a resolution which would set the rate. Available for any questions.
I just had a question when you were reporting out. Did you say did you mention the increase for the following year as well, or did I misunderstand?
Oh, I was stating that because it's a fiscal year rate, so it has half the year in this calendar year and half the year next, and Met sets their rates on a calendar year basis. It's an 8% discount to the current Met rate and a 16% discount to next year's Met rate, but it's for one fiscal year is what we're asking for.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments, public comments?
No public comment.
Okay, whenever you're ready, we can vote.
Can I have a
We need
motion?
Oh, except we should have a motion first.
I'll move it.
I was trying a new procedure.
Who moved?
I need a second.
I'll second.
Director Rosales.
Ready for the vote?
I think so.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Yes.
Director Dinstedt,
Aye.
Director Rizvi,
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we'll move on to item H, but I would first like to ask Director Gardner to give his SAPA report before we hear item H, since it's related.
Thank you. Really, two parts here. One is the driver for today's budget action. Didn't get a chance to report at our last meeting because that was our Prop 218 hearing. SAPA did vote unanimously to discontinue the cloud seeding program and remove those dollars from the SAPA budget, and maybe more importantly to Western, to each of the member agencies' contribution to SAPA by the amount of the cloud seeding. So that's why this is here. But yesterday at the SAPA meeting, the board unanimously decided to place the general manager on administrative leave while some allegations that have been made are investigated. There is nobody's saying the allegations are proven at this point, but they are sufficiently serious that they need an investigation. So an investigation will begin shortly. And we as the SAPA board have asked Karen Williams, the SAPA CFO, if she would be the interim executive director during the pendency of this matter, and she has agreed. So the SAPA acting executive director is in the audience and will be able to answer questions on the item that we are about to take up.
Okay,
And congratulations.
yeah, go ahead, Craig.
Go ahead.
You're complete. Yeah, so we've been working with Karen and Jeff for some time on the budget, and so a lot of work has gone into that, and I'd like Rick to give a summary of what you have before you today for consideration.
And if I may, before Mr. Aragon begins his presentation, on the dais, you have an updated revised staff letter that has a correction to the budget section.
Thank you. I forgot that part.
And on that note, so the resolution that's in the packet is the correct resolution with the correct numbers. The staff letter just needed a minor update. So overall, and Director Gardner gave the big part of the update, is that this was reviewed by the Finance Committee in May, but there was an update with the cloud seeding program being removed. And so what that does for us is it reduces the second year contribution for us by $34,000, which actually puts it at a slight decrease from year to year. So what this would do is approve our contribution for the first year, fiscal year 26, of $454,680, which is just a 0.5% increase from our current amount. And then for the second year, the amount would decrease to $450,247, which is a 1% decrease, and would adopt these amounts for 2 years. So SAPA would have a 2-year budget commitment.
Okay, so I guess I should say that we're on item G. H, sorry. Adopting Resolution 3349, approving the budgets of the Santa Ana Watershed Project Authority for fiscal years 2025-26 and 26-27. I have a question. Is the cloud seeding pilot gone, or are they revisiting it, or?
Gone.
Yeah, the vote of the board was to discontinue.
Okay.
And not take up future years. Several things drove that. One was because of the significant burn scars that exist within the target areas of the cloud seeding program. We would not have been able to go forward this year anyway because of the risk of debris flow. And the validation report that was prepared and presented was really inconclusive. There were some rain gauge measurements. Some of them were higher and some were lower, but there was no way to tell whether that was caused by any increase, was caused by cloud seeding, or just happened to be a little bigger than average storm. The one thing that was definitive in the validation study was they took some snow samples and looked for silver in the snow. Of the samples they took, they found silver in one sample and did not in 2 samples. So, and it's parts per billion that you find in snow. So it's very small amounts, but it did not really support that the cloud seeding material was getting to the target areas on a regular basis. And, given all those things, the board thought best to just discontinue the program. So it's gone.
Good science.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions. Oh, sorry.
Go right ahead.
Sorry. So, you said that the first year, it's being discontinued, so it only impacts the second year? Why not the first year?
It wasn't in the budget for the first year to begin with. So they were-
Because cloud seeding did not occur this past season because of the burn scars. So those dollars had already been paid by the member agencies. So there was no bill for this year, which isn't happening anyway, but they're going to refund the nothing that we paid.
Good to know. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And the letter says also, sorry, I have to go back to the letter. It also says that there were reductions to the PFAS study,
That
but
was my question.
Yeah.
it looks like there's an increase
The-
in the budget. It says PFAS 44, oh, it went from 400,000. That's my dyslexia, guys. Went from 400 to 80,000, so it did go down. Okay, that's it. I answered my own question.
Very good.
Asked and answered.
I do want to say, I'm glad that the cloud seeding was discontinued. It's just not something that's going to work in the Inland Empire. We don't have clouds. So, so I'm glad, I think it was a great decision by the board to look at results and say, hey, maybe not worth it anymore.
Question, so, the letter says these increases are offset by similar reductions to the PFAS study. What reductions with the PFAS study?
The price.
No, just the price.
So I can't speak to the details on what had happened. I can say that the current budget for the PFAS study is 550,000, and then it drops to 450, and then to 400. I don't know.
Would you?
On the
Sorry.
details
No,
behind it.
that's
Sorry.
fine. Would you like to explain if you can?
We're in the third phase of the PFAS study.
Okay.
So we've had phase 1 and phase 2. So phase 1 and 2, we had quite substantial member agency contributions, and we haven't used all of those funds. So we have carryover from the first 2 years, so we didn't need as many funds for the phase 3. So that's why we didn't ask for as much member contributions for this last year.
Great, thank you.
Right.
Good to know.
Don't go away, Karen.
Uh,
They might
Wait,
need you.
You
Hold
might
on.
have another question.
Okay, so
Okay.
I just want a point of clarification, because I'm a little confused at this point for fiscal 26, 27. So in the book staff report, it says will increase, if you look at the last sentence, the member contribution for 26, 27 will increase from 454 to 484, an increase of 6.5. Then you're saying that this correction, if I'm understanding correctly, it also says, though, it will increase, but the numbers go from 454 to 450.
Yes,
What-
it's the 450, which is a 1% decrease.
So it's the decrease.
It's the decrease.
So this increase should have been struck.
Yes.
Got it. Now I understand what number we're voting on. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, do we have any public comments on this item?
So
All right.
move.
Any,
Second.
okay. Motion and a second. Any other discussion before we vote?
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Whenever you're ready.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Yes.
Director Dinstedt,
Aye.
Director Risby,
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
All right, we'll move on to item I, authorize purchase of 1 emission heavy-duty service truck to comply with South Coast Air Quality Management District stipulated order for abatement.
Dean Standing Warrior is here to describe this request.
The long title there?
Oh, and we do have a modified letter also. Did I do that right that time?
You did.
Thank you. Only because Director helped me too. I need a lot of help.
Got to cover each other.
We all do, it's a team effort.
It's a team effort. It's a team.
Thank you, Craig, for that introduction, and good morning, President Roten and directors, staff. Thank you for your time today. I'll get to the changes in the letter here in a second. But just to introduce myself, Dean Standing Warrior, our Deputy Director for Maintenance Operations here at Western. Here today to discuss the purchase of 1 zero-emission heavy-duty electric service truck to comply with South Coast Air Quality Management District stipulated order for abatement. So today, staff is requesting that the Finance Committee recommend the Board of Directors, 1, increase the capital budget for the fleet electrification project in the amount of $300,000 from $575,000 to $875,000, utilizing the board-adopted capital improvement facilities plan for fiscal year 24-25. Secondly, authorize the issuance of a purchase order to Rush Truck Centers headquartered in Orlando, Florida for the amount not to exceed $338,077 to cover the purchase cost of one heavy-duty electric service truck under the Fleet Electrification Project 9363. So directors, on September 14th, 2023, the South Coast Air Quality Management District Hearing Board issued a stipulated order for abatement requiring Western Municipal Water District to complete the actions proposed in the staff report in front of you. The first order of compliance with the order for abatement requires the replacement of 3 heavy-duty diesel service trucks with 3 like-in-kind electric zero-emission vehicles, which is currently in process and on order. So in compliance with the replacement schedule outlined in the abatement order, page 8 of attachment 1, staff will replace 1 heavy-duty diesel service truck and acquire an additional like-in-kind zero-emission vehicle to ensure the adherence to that timeline that's there in front of you. So today's recommendation is to maintain compliance with the order for abatement replacement vehicle schedule issued by the South Coast Air Quality Management District in 2023. Directors, as you may recall, in December of 2023, staff recommended and the Western Board approved the purchase of 3 zero-emission vehicles. This was part of our initial efforts to comply with the order of abatement replacement vehicle schedule, and today's recommendation is just really a continuation of keeping up with that schedule. So a couple of things we want to discuss in the staff letter and kind of highlight out of there. The first is the budget for this purchase. Fiscal year 23-24, fleet electrification approved budget was $575,000. To date, $441,409 has been expended, leaving a carryover balance of $133,590. The board capital improvement and facilities plan for fiscal year 24-25, our current, includes an additional $300,000 for this project. So combined, the results in total available funding of $433,590, which is sufficient enough to cover this purchase of this vehicle. The staff letter in front of you outlines the associated cost of the vehicle, totaling $307,343, along with the 10% contingency of $30,734, making up the total of $338,077. So just real quick to hit on the contingencies really for unexpected costs that may come about during the purchase, delivery, things like that. In our finance committee meeting, Director Torres, thank you for this, by the way, brought up our table in the committee letter. It was a little confusing the way the pricing was laid out. We've made adjustments to that table. Hopefully that's cleared that up for you, as well as going through the process with Motive Electric, who we've worked through acquiring this quote from, made it aware to us that the PO actually needs to be cut to Rush Truck. That's why you see that change in there as well. So Rush Truck Centers has been in the process the whole way. There's a dealership. That's who the PO will be cut out to. So the second piece of this really is the bid summary of it. The medium heavy-duty electric vehicle market still developing, and the number of EV manufacturers capable of producing medium to heavy-duty EVs that meet Western standards and specifications is limited. So staff went ahead and developed a vehicle specification sheet, which was provided to 3 electric zero-emission medium and heavy-duty vehicle manufacturers for quotes. These manufacturers were Rush Truck Centers and Motive Electric working together, Green Power Motor Company, and Phoenix Motor Cars. Rush Truck Centers was deemed the only responsive vendor based on the like-in-kind vehicle specification that will meet the needs of our business. And despite extensive outreach efforts, Green Power Motor Company and Phoenix Motor Cars did not provide quotes and therefore deemed as non-responsive. So again, just to bring it up, staff is requesting Finance Committee recommend the Board of Directors increase the capital budget for fleet electrification project in the amount of $300,000 from $575,000 to $875,000, as well as authorize the issuance of purchase order to Rush Truck Centers in the amount of $338,077. So with that, I'll take any questions you may have.
Go ahead.
Dean, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I think the public deserves to hear the answer. Did we get any money from AQMD for having to do this mandate?
Not to my knowledge.
I just want that to be out there, that
Of
we're
course.
having to do something that, obviously, this is an unfunded mandate again, put on us for something that really doesn't fit with our business model. And there's a fight that's been going on between us as first responders, especially during instances.
Yep.
With fire department, with our law enforcement stuff, to fight these mandates that are costing a lot
Yeah.
of money for something that really doesn't fit in our model,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
And support us in our needs truly, for something that just is just costing people a lot of money, and we're not getting anything for that. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there on the record for the publics to be aware of what it is that's going on, so.
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any public comments on this item?
We do not.
Are there any other questions? No?
I'll second. Oops, go ahead, Fauzi.
Okay, we had a motion by Director Torres, and I'm not sure who got the
Uh,
second.
Ladies
Director
first.
Risby
Oh.
won the race this
All
time.
right.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
Whenever you're ready.
And I'll call for the vote. Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Yes.
Director Dinstedt,
Aye.
Director Risby,
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Because this frustrates me. That would have been a Freudian slip, I guess. Okay, we'll move on to item J. Approve a project budget and award a professional services contract to N2W Engineering Incorporated for the Western Water Recycling Facility Optimization Study and Future Project Prioritization Plan. Oh, that's a mouthful.
Could you repeat that?
We can't even figure out how to make a good acronym. out
I
of
know,
that.
that's what I was wondering too.
Sonia Huff will present this item. Sonia?
Good morning, directors. Thank you,
Good
Craig.
morning.
So I'll make this short since we have quite a few items. So today we're recommending the approval of $473,350 total project budget and award of a contract in the amount of $323,905 for a professional services contract to N2W Engineering to complete an optimization study for the Western Water Recycling Facility, which we call WRF, and its recycled water system. So this study will assess treatment capacity, pumping, storage, and potential reuse options. It'll also include infrastructure condition assessments, cost-benefit analysis, and project prioritization to support future CIP planning. N2W ranked highest in the RFP process and brings relevant experience, including past work on Western solid handling and tracer studies. Today we're recommending the approval of the budget and award to N2W Engineering, and I'm available to take any questions.
Okay. Do we have
Oh,
any-
sorry, real quick, Greg Gillian, who's the principal engineer from N2W, is on Zoom for any questions as well.
Okay. Do we have public comment?
We do not.
Okay.
Move to approve.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Whenever you- oh,
I have one question,
sorry.
sorry. How long is this expected to take us?
About 8 months.
Thank you.
Okay. Whenever you're ready, Ms. Ford.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Yes.
Director Dinstedt,
Aye.
Director Risby,
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you.
And thank you to the engineering company for being available on Zoom today.
Thank you. The
Director.
motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we'll move into reports, general counsel report.
Good morning, President. I do not have any report today. Thank you.
Okay. Hold on, gotta turn my page here. And general manager and staff reports. Mr. Miller.
All right, I've got some good things to report. Let me start with the star of the show, Director Risby, attended our DC advocacy trip with us last week, and hopefully she enjoyed her time there. It was valuable as always. I think we're finding more and more engagement the more often that we go. We're starting to get people to recognize us when we come back and remember our conversations from prior visits, which is very encouraging because if you sit in their chair, can you imagine how many meetings they have, like the 30-minute meetings that we have with them? And so to remember that, I don't know, is that hundreds of meetings a year or thousands of meetings a year? and to be able to recall Western Water and what we're there advocating for is encouraging. Makes you feel like, it's well worth the effort to go back there. We met with staff from Senator Padilla's office and Senator Schiff's office. We met with Representative Takano, with ICE's staff. Unfortunately, Congressman Calvert had to cancel on us because he was leading a big hearing with the Military Affairs Committee. That we saw all the military walking into the committee when we were walking the hallways. That was it made national news and was all over YouTube. We had another meeting with EPA, talk about PFAS and other things and funding. We had an outstanding meeting with the Bureau of Reclamation, talking about some of the things that we're trying to do in California water to help lessen demands on the Colorado River, which they are in charge of the Colorado River, and they are certainly well aware and maneuvering towards their 2026 requirements to come up with a new operating agreement for the entire river. So that was a very informative meeting, and it was a great meeting. We also met with the National Water Resources Association while we were back there. So really good meetings. Lots of credit to the agencies for all the grant funding that we've received. And in these meetings, we are very clear about how we've spent that money because they want to see money hitting the ground. They don't want money to be given back. They want projects to happen. So we are careful to review all those projects, thank them for their efforts. We also talked about California Water for All and SB 72 because we don't want to go back there and just come off looking like we have our hand out to get federal dollars. We want to be part of the solutions. And so SB 72 is a solution. And so we want to share what we're trying to solve statewide. And now we're starting to talk about how there will be a nexus between that effort in SB 72 and potential fixes on the Colorado River. And we're not asking for money from the feds yet, but when we get to the development phase of projects to meet the aspirational targets that hopefully will be set by SB 72, there's going to be some federal projects in there. And so there will be an ask coming down the pike for that. So great meetings. Like I said, we're getting the staff to show up for those meetings, and they're really engaged. And so I was really encouraged by the meetings. How about some good news on grants? So under the congressional directed spending grants, so we received one for March Air Reserve Base to line the sewer pipes. It had a 20% local match requirement. Our creative staff decided to look into that and found out that there was a potential waiver from the local contribution. And so we processed that and we received it. So we got a waiver for $1.6 million out of that grant. So add another $1.6 million into the pot for our grants for this year. So really, really good news. And hats off to the staff. Josh, make sure you share with your staff. They're doing a great job. No one asked them to do that. Just went and said, I think we can do better. So really good news. SB 72. We just received a heads up that Southern California News Group is going to run an op-ed highlighting our recent research that we did. And this is the research on the economic cost of inaction by the state on developing water supply. So we asked UC California, 3 professors from 3 different universities did a study that looked at the 9 million acre foot aspirational target in 2040, and we asked them, what will be the economic impact to the state if we don't add 9 million acre feet to our water supply by 2040? And they came back and they said the economic impact will range up to $14.7 billion per year. $1 billion per year of economic impact to the state. So when you hear people talk about we can't afford to build Sites Reservoir for $5 billion, that's a one-time cost for a project that we'll have for 100 years. This is $14 billion every single year of negative economic impact to the state. $20 billion for Delta Conveyance. Seems like a big number to all of us. That pays for itself in 2 years. So really good news. We've been pushing this really hard to get this study out. We've been talking about it with the legislature. We are distributing that to the entire assembly so that all of our legislators, not just ours, the statewide legislators all have that study. And we want them to start thinking about that as they consider budgets right now for what's going to happen on the water side of things and the governor's trailer bills and spending for SB 72. So that's great news. We're getting notoriety for that study. What's happening with our bill? It got through the Senate unanimously. It is heading towards the Assembly now. It stops at Water, Parks, and Wildlife for a hearing. That hearing just got set for July 1st. So I'll be up there testifying with Senator Caballero on July 1st. And then the last thing, heads up, the ComGov meeting is being canceled next week. We're all out of town. So there's nothing urgent that needs to be considered on the ComGov meeting. So, and that concludes my comments.
Okay. Any questions on that? No? All right, thank you, Mr. Miller. It is a lot of good things. You always mostly have good things to share.
We do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that waiver, wow. Congratulations to the staff for picking up on that, applying, following through, and getting it. I mean, that's a lot of money. So, okay, we'll move into director's comments and requests, and we've already had our SAPA report, unless you have anything else you
No.
wanted to share, Mike? Okay. Metropolitan Water.
So you have notes, well, let me back up a second. The meetings at the beginning of the month were canceled because of all of the unrest that was going on up in LA. You virtually could not get to the building. And so they asked us not to go up there. We were kind of waiting for the governor to see if he was going to declare a state of emergency so we could all hopefully have the meetings via Zoom, and that didn't happen. So the meetings had to get reposted. And they did have a special board meeting to talk about a couple of items. I wasn't able to attend that meeting because I was chairing the executive committee meeting for WRCOG the day after General Assembly. And so you have a report, but we are rescheduled to have all of the meetings. They're cramming into the 23rd and 24th, which generally the 24th would have been just for the executive committee meetings and a couple of the ad hoc committee meetings. And now we're kind of moving the days back now to try to pick up all those meetings so we don't have crazy committees come in July. And then there's obviously a recruitment going on right now for the general manager position, and we need to have a conversation about that and get that ball rolling. It's kind of put us back 2 weeks, but I have full faith that we'll be able to get this done in a timely fashion. So more to come after I have the meetings next week.
Okay, thank you. Chino Basin Water Master.
Thank you. Chino Basin Water Master is in the process of updating the safe yield calculation for pumping from the basin. The consultant's recommendation is a reduction of several thousand acre feet in the safe yield. That's driven largely by a model that is proprietary to the consultant. There are members of the appropriative pool, the water providers, who have some serious doubts about the accuracy of that model and whether safe yield needs to be reduced as much as is being proposed. The SAPA board previously directed that there would be a peer review of the whole evaluation of safe field and recommendation. I expect that we will be awarding that contract at the meeting either this month or next month to do that review. It's an important one because if pumping has to be reduced, whether it's across the basin or by just an individual pumper or two, that increases their costs because they'll have to replace that with imported state water project water. So it's an important item. We've not resolved it as yet, but I think we will see some resolution fairly soon. And that's it for Water Master.
Okay, thank you. CDA, we met on June 5, and there were a lot of items, but most all were very routine. There were 4 professional service agreements, things like that, and these all go through 2 committees before they come to the full board. So we went through each of those. Obviously, if anyone would like more details, I'm happy to share it. There were a couple things I wanted to highlight, though. We had a CEQA finding of consistency for the Chino 2 DeSalter additional well water supply facilities project. And that was, that was adopt the finding of that and authorize the general manager to execute necessary documents associated with the finding. We also had a construction contract for the South Archibald Plume Cleanup Project, award for drilling, construction, development, and testing of CDA monitoring wells. That was an important one. We approved that contract. And the other one I wanted to mention was promotion of our accounting manager to interim CFO treasurer. She will be interim until effective July 1, and then she'll be promoted to CFO treasurer, not interim, January 1 of 26. And we approved the salary range for that position. Another item of discussion came under staff comments, I believe. I guess this meeting was an example of having, I think there were 13 items, and we don't normally have a consent calendar at CDA. So there was discussion of maybe a lot of these can go on consent, and then obviously they could be pulled for discussion or questions. And because they do go through committees before they come to the full board. So we're going to try that next, I believe our next meeting. We're going to try doing that on anything that seems appropriate for a consent item. So I think that'll help streamline the meeting. Not that they're long meetings, but it, you know, the poor general manager, he's like, you know, it just keeps getting handed to him to give the report. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. It sounds like a positive move. The Chino 2 DeSalter, we have a new roof project that is halfway finished. They ran into some obstacles, so it's had a bit of a delay, but not too bad. Apparently, there were some camera antennas that were up there that weren't accounted for, and when they started the project, I guess that required a little bit of refiguring. And then our overall extraction, we're above 100% for the year, which is good. I mean, you don't want to be too far above 100, but it means we're utilizing what we can, what we're allowed to. And this CDA will be dark in August. So that's it for that. RCRA.
RCRA is dark in the summer, so we will meet in
that's right,
September.
September, okay. And WRCOG.
WRCOG, so last week on Thursday, we had a general assembly and
did?
that was a great program. Thank you all for attending that. So I had a wonderful time talking with our keynote speaker. He did such a fabulous interview. He did a fabulous talk, a presentation. There were a lot of people that said that they could have listened to him a lot longer than what he did because he had so many great stories to tell and so much insightful advice, especially on leadership stuff. And boy, he was the first guy in the room that really admitted, hey, failure is going to happen. You just got to figure it out. And, you know, life is hard and you got to figure it out. So that was really great. The vote did go through, so I am officially now the chair for the next year. So I look forward to moving forward in that process. We also put in Jackie Castillas as the first vice chair from the city of Corona, and then Mike Lara was the second vice chair for the city of Beaumont. So we look forward to working with both of those individuals on this upcoming year. And then we did have the executive committee meeting afterwards, the next day. There were a number of presentations that were done. Chris Garay gave a wonderful presentation and gave each of us jurisdictions, and I forgot to bring it, because you would have loved it. But it talked about TUMP, it talked about trip travel, it talked about all of the money that's out there for the region. They did one specifically for Western numbers and what our involvement plays in all of that. So it was a really fascinating stuff. Chris does such a great job of crunching the numbers and providing all the data. That's just his wheelhouse, and he really enjoys it. And then we did have an update for the Coachella COG. So they came in and talked about several of the programs that they do and how we are partnering with them and doing some other things with them. And then also for staff, who Michael will be thrilled with this, that we also passed the language for a support letter for the trailer bill. So all of the logos were then incorporated onto a letter, so you guys can launch that and use that. Hopefully it carries a little bit of weight with all those logos on there, so that was great. And that is all I have to report.
I'd like to add to her report, if I may.
Of course.
Well, I'd like to say congratulations
Thank you.
on being appointed as a chair. That's a great accomplishment for a water agency in a city structure to get that, so congratulations. But WRCOG also shared with us an appreciation for you for your outstanding leadership as a WRCOG Executive Committee Chair for fiscal year 24-25. So you did it well enough where they made you the chair of the whole organization, not just the committee, so congratulations.
Nice. Thank you. It's very kind. Thank you.
Okay, Saral.
That one meeting of the year, I could not make it.
Oh my God, to go.
Mike got to go.
I did go, and it was a relatively routine meeting, except that they approved budgets, which is significant. It was non-controversial, and the budget was approved unanimously. Very modest increases. I don't have the percentages at hand, but they are doing a good job, and everything is working well. And you were missed.
Aw, nice, okay. And Aqua, do we have a report?
Yeah, Aqua, I do have a meeting today on Zoom. We're going to be talking about the program and the speakers and kind of shaping the joint regional program that we're doing with 8, 9, and 10. It's going to be happening, I believe, in Irvine is where we've landed on working out a contract over there at one of the facilities. And so we'll be talking about how we're moving that. That program is scheduled for, I believe, November 14th. It's a Friday. Yeah. So more to come on that, but today is one of the planning days, so I'll be looking forward to having more discussion and then can give you some more info. And of course, you're certainly welcome to join that if you have any input that you'd like for us to consider as we plan this event. We want it to be a meaningful program for everyone, so.
Very good. Okay, director's comments. Director Gardner, do you want to start?
Sure. I just wanted to recognize that tomorrow is Juneteenth, an important date in American history. The Emancipation Proclamation was not recognized by the Confederate States, and the Civil War had ended, but the news of the end of the Civil War was slow getting to some areas, and it was several months later, on June 19th, 1865, that the final formal action to free slaves in Texas was taken. And so that it has been a federal holiday for several years now. But if you look at the history of what was involved, it's really pretty interesting. It is an important holiday in our history, and it is tomorrow.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. Director Denstead? I have Director Tor, no, go ahead, Fazia, yeah.
Well, as Greg mentioned, I took the trip to DC. That was such a big learning curve for me as Western Water, the work that is being done on the federal level, to see it, to meet people who recognize what we're doing here. It was great. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to be there. What the most important thing I realized that all the offices we went, when we talked about SB 72 and California Water for All, they got our attention that oh, this is what's going on, and oh, good to hear, keep us posted on what happens to that bill. Every office I went to, so that was one note that I was like, okay, they're paying attention that we are not only asking for money, we are providing solutions. So I think Greg and Sarah and Michael did a great job on, on all the presentations of where the dollars have been spent, so we can share with them all the offices. It was a great, great trip. So I'm really glad I got to go. And I attended WRCOG assembly. Congratulations, Brenda. It was great. The speaker was amazing. How, everything he brought to leadership was just amazing. So, these programs are, I wish I could have, he could have spoken and we could have, it was really wonderful. So it was a great event, and thank you for every year. I feel like every year is above the last year's speakers. So
Raises
yeah,
the bar.
it raises the bar, absolutely. So that's about it. Thank you.
Okay, Director Torres?
Yeah, I just have a couple of things. One, wanted to start with congratulating our colleague and the chair of WRCOG, Director Dunstead. I wasn't able to make it. I usually don't have FOMO, but when it was special, so I was really looking forward to casting that vote. I'm sorry I couldn't make it.
Yeah, you missed a big surprise.
I heard you sing, right?
Yeah,
I have heard from everyone about this event, and it just every sector. Like, are you here? It's so much fun. I don't usually get FOMO for events. I had FOMO that night because everyone was texting me, and I heard great things about the event. But really, congratulations. I think your oh God, just your resilience and making sure that we're represented, kind of digging your heels in the ground to set our place at the table is a big deal. And so really congratulations and thank you. I will not be here July 2nd. My family is taking a vacation for once in our little lives. And so I won't be here. So just want to wish everyone a happy Independence Day. With that, happy Juneteenth, a real Independence Day for all. I'll be here tomorrow. It's, the county does take Juneteenth as a holiday, so I will be actually available for a midday event on a Thursday. So I'll see you here here?
No, it's at
EMWD.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys tomorrow. But as Director Gardner said, Juneteenth is an important celebration of freedom, and so I hope everyone recognizes that day tomorrow. And then just lastly, I want to say, I know we're kind of in like really weird, scary times, and we're like conducting business like the world isn't exploding around us. I just want to, you know, regardless of our own feelings, I know I have my very personal and strong feelings about what we see in the news and everything, but I just want to remind everyone that there is a humanity behind every person that is being talked about, and in every way there is a humanity, and people are scared for whatever their reasons are. They're scared, and just give people grace during this time. Watch what you say and how you say it to folks, that everyone is feeling some type of impact. And so just my heart is with this country, and I hope that we can move past all of this so that we can, you know, keep being the great country that we've been thus far. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, that was everybody, right?
Yes, yes. Now it's your turn.
All right, just a couple things. I thought that this WRCOG event was probably the best that I'd ever attended. And you talk about setting a high bar. Good luck next year. I have full confidence in you. But I have to say, Brenda, when you surprised most everyone in that room and sang that incredible duet of the national anthem, which is already a song that just moves me, I'm like, I have tears just rolling down my cheeks, and it was so beautiful. It really was. And I knew I had the privilege of meeting your aunt before the program started, and I knew that she was your musical aunt.
Yes. And
And so I'm like, oh, that's why she's here, because you wanted to share that with her, and rightly so. It was amazing, and really just your command of the whole evening, and the sharing of the parts with the vice chair and the other is it vice chair and second vice chair? Yeah, they had a segment to do, and then after the Admiral spoke, or Admiral, right? Yeah. After he spoke, then the Q&A part, and you just beautifully flowed into that. So I know I kind of sound like I'm gushing, but it was gush-worthy. You know, it was just really a wonderful evening, and it's so fun to see on Facebook all the different pictures, like even the next day. And the room is so huge that you don't even know half those people are there. And I'm like, oh, I would have liked to have connected with them, or I would like to connect with this person. But it's just great to see. It's like a huge reunion, and it was well planned and well done. And you know, I thank you for your role, and I also thank you for your leadership and really helping to solidify Western's position as a water agency in that organization. And I know Eastern is also on the board, and so I'm not discounting that at all, but with you in that leadership role like that, we're front and center. So it's going to be a great year. It already was, but thank you for that. And Gracie, thank you for what your words were about humanity, because it was funny. I was thinking, and I can't remember if this was in the middle of last night or when I woke up, but I thought, I wonder if it would be weird for me to say this, because in my mind, what was running through it was the fact that no matter our political parties, no matter our religion, no matter our sex, no matter our culture, we're all human beings. And that if we can remove some of those almost barriers to humanity and look at each other as human beings, and I love your give grace, absolutely. So thank you for sharing that, because I had a similar thought, and I thought, I don't know if I should say this or not, but but I'm glad you did. So thank you very much for doing that.
No, and can I also just make a comment? You know, my decision to actually out myself very publicly on my singing was because my aunt was there, and I invited her, and she did not know I was going to do that, and it was a huge surprise for her, and I thought this was such a wonderful, appropriate event. My aunt is going to be turning in a few weeks 84, and she is a Pearl Harbor survivor. And it was a hugely special thing for her to be there, and I just did not want to miss maybe the one opportunity I had to do that for her.
Yeah.
Because she's been hounding me for years to do it, and I've never done it. So, so I appreciate your kind words, and thank you.
It was a gift to all of us, so thank you for that. Do we have any requests for future agenda items? Doesn't look like it. All right. We have an information item, investment report for April of 2025, and we'll be going into closed session. Mr. Ballinger, would you like to take us into that, or?
Yes, the board will be recessing into closed session for the two items that are listed on the agenda. There will be a report out, but we don't expect any reportable action.
Okay. So do you need time to switch the room over, or?
Thank you. Actually, the room is fine. You'll be going into the closed session room. Please stop by the board kitchen to grab your lunch.
Okay.
To grab your lunch ahead of time and take it in with you. I hope you are pleasantly happy with it.
Calling the Western Board back into open session at 1:05. And Mr. Neufeld, would you like to report?
Yes,
for
thank
us?
you, Madam President. We have no reportable action coming out of today's closed sessions. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, then we will adjourn at 1:06.
Could you at least